Hello Russian learners, I'm Anastasia, this is ARusPro channel, and today we are going to speak about the Russian verbs говорить and сказать. Very often my students ask me to explain the difference between them, because they can't quite make parallels between English and Russian here. In English, you have 4 verbs: to speak, to talk, to say, and to tell. In Russian, we have говорить and сказать. So how do we use them? First, I'm going to tell you about the general idea behind these verbs, and then I'm going to show you examples and their usage in different contexts in the past, present, and future tenses. So by the end of the lesson, you are not going to confuse them again. So let's forget for a moment about the English verbs and let's look here. Говорить and сказать. The general idea behind the verb говорить. Actually, we have 3 ideas here. To be able to produce speech, to be proficient in a language, and to be in the process of speaking. And the general idea behind сказать is to produce a holistic piece of information. Now I'm going to show you what this means and how these ideas get effectuated in different tenses, in different contexts. And we're going to start with the past tense. Let's look at these 2 examples in the past tense. Он долго говорил. Here we convey the idea of the process of speaking. So he was talking or he kept talking for a long time. Долго. That is why we use the verb говорить. Next example. Она сказала. Я тоже так думаю. So here we have her direct speech, direct words. She said exactly this. I think so too. Я тоже так думаю. And this is a holistic piece of information. So it's a finished sentence. It's her idea and she said that. So every time you want to convey someone's ideas or to convey the exact words that they said, you put the verb сказать here before the actual words. And it goes like this. Она сказала, colon and quotation marks. In English, I think you put a comma here, but we put a colon. So, in this case, we are saying or we are using the verb сказать. And very often you can see it in books. He said or she said, and then goes the speech of the character. Only the verb сказать here. Now let's look at 2 more contexts for the past tense. They are a little bit different, so let's see and you will get the idea of what they are. The next context in the past tense, as it often happens in Russian, is connected with additional emotional connotation. And the choice between говорить and сказать will depend on the presence of this additional emotional connotation. So let's see how it works. Я не помню. Я говорила тебе, что я еду в Москву. Нет, не говорила. So in this sentence, we don't have any emotions. So it's just asking about the fact. Did I tell you? Did you remember about this fact of me telling you this information that I'm going to Moscow? No, you didn't tell me. So this fact didn't happen in the past. Now let's look at the second example. ты сказал ей, что экзамен в понедельник? Did you tell her that the exam is on Monday? So here it's very important, right? Because if she misses the exam, that will result in some bad things for her. So you should have told her that. That is why we use сказать here. So if we add to our sentence the connotation of like this should, right, or must. Ты сказал ей, что экзамен в понедельник. And if you didn't tell her, that is bad. Same example, number 3. Почему ты не сказала мне об этом? Why didn't you tell me about this? So you didn't tell me, and now I'm experiencing the consequences of this. And maybe these consequences are bad. So you should have told me. Why didn't you tell me? So if you want to underline this point, that somebody should have told something, you will use the verb сказать. If you are just interested about the fact, did you tell me, or did you tell her, or did someone else tell somebody else something, you will use the verb говорить without any heated emotions, right? So this is a very important thing for the past. Now let's move to the present tense. Since the present tense is something that is happening right now, or it's a process, here we can only use the verb говорить, because only говорить implies this process. Сказать, as I told you before, it's a holistic piece of information that has already been produced, so we cannot use it in the present tense. Говорить. Let's look at the forms in the present tense. I. Я говорю. You, informal. Ты говоришь. He, she. Он, она говорит. We. Мы говорим. You, formal. Вы говорите. They, они говорят. And some examples. Ребенок уже говорит. So here we have this idea of being able to speak, to produce speech. So the child can already speak. Я говорю по-русски. The idea of being proficient in the language, having language skills. I speak Russian. Я говорю по-русски. Я не слышу, что ты говоришь. I don't hear what you are saying. You are saying it right now, so this is a process. That is why we use the present tense and the verb говорить in the ты form. Ты говоришь. If we want to say, for example, I didn't hear what you said in the past tense, then we, of course, will use the verb сказать. So it will be я не слышал or я не слышала, что ты сказал or сказала. Because here we are speaking about a piece of information that has already been produced. So this is the present tense. Now let's move to the future tense. In the future tense, the verb говорить will again convey the idea of a process, an ongoing action in the future. And the verb сказать will be used in its different specific context. We'll see in a minute. And now let's look at the forms of these verbs in the future. So, with the verb говорить, we will be using the verb быть, the future forms of the verb быть. For example, we will be speaking, мы будем говорить. I will be speaking, я буду говорить. You can look these forms up on the internet. And сказать, for the verb сказать, we will be using these specific forms. So, я скажу, you informal, ты скажешь, he, she, он, она скажет, мы скажем, you formal, вы скажете, and they, они скажут. And now let's look at the examples. Завтра на встрече мы будем говорить о кризисе. Well, here O is not stressed. О кризисе. So, tomorrow at the meeting, we will be speaking about the crisis. In this example, we are describing something that is going to be happening for some time in the future. So, there will be a meeting and there will be a process of speaking, discussing everything related to the crisis. So that is why we use говорить, because it's the idea of a process in the future. And the second example, скажи ей, что экзамен завтра. Конечно, скажу. Here we have the context of promise. I will definitely tell her that the exam will be tomorrow. So the context of promise requires the verb сказать. And in this example, we also have the imperative form of this verb. Скажи. This is the imperative or command form. And this form is informal. So this form is used for the pronoun ты if you are speaking to a person informally. Скажи and скажите for вы, for the formal you. Говори for the informal ты and говорите for the formal вы. Now, what's the difference in the imperative forms? If you are saying скажи or скажите, you need some information from this person. So you want them to give you this piece of information, a holistic piece of information. So when you say скажите, пожалуйста, где здесь метро? Right? Tell me please, where is the metro here? You will use this verb because you need information. When do you use говори or говорите? When you want this person to start the process of speaking. For example, if you have an app on your phone, a translator app, it might have a function like this. You are saying something to your phone and it translates it for you. And if it's in Russian, the program will tell you говорите. So you press the button and you hear говорите, like speak now. Start producing sounds, start producing speech. So again, this is about the process of producing the speech or the process. That is the difference between говори, скажи and говорите, скажите. That was it for today, and I hope it was useful. If it was, give me a thumbs up. And if you are having difficulty with Russian verbs, particularly imperfective and perfective verbs, go to our website ARusPro.com and book some lessons because our tutors will practice them with you intensely and you will finally start saying and using these verbs correctly. And I will see you in the next lesson. Let's achieve Russian proficiency together.